Okay, let's start. Welcome to the Foundational Infrastructure Working Group meeting. Yeah, what do we have here? Are there any topics people want to talk about before we start to dive into the OpenVRs?
We found some time to look into the nuts issue on our side.
Mhm.
And we found out that there are some problems on our side, so we not adapted the manifest. And then there was no user for the nuts. So we adapted this, but now it's a little bit flickering because if we redeploy the Bosch, then we have a co-located UAA. But the Bosch nuts sync job directly starts and then try to get a token from the UAA. But the UAA takes more than 5 minutes to start, and sometimes it's working, but sometimes the deploy fails because other jobs cannot run as long as the synchronization is not done. Yeah, Ramon
why does
currently looking into that, but yeah.
Why does the UAA take 5 minutes to start?
That's a good question.
That's
so we found it today.
I think
normal?
it always the time somehow.
Yeah.
UAA needs I don't know.
The problem is Java, because it tries to get all the certs and implement them one by one by one. And it's because they're also using like Java 5 or something really old.
Okay.
So yeah,
So there's a
UAA
bit
is
of there's a bit of a race it's not a race condition, but it yeah, I see. It's flaky because of the startup sequence.
Yeah, I thought there was a hard-coded dependency on UAA, so that it would wait for
cannot do
DNS to
dependencies.
start before UAA is up. But
Bosch DNS? What are you talking about? The sync job?
yeah, the
You
sync
mean?
job should just wait, right? It should just have a dependency on the UAA. It should just say, oh, I will wait when.
So it now what is the behavior? It doesn't wait and fails and doesn't retry or
The sync itself not fails. It's working after some minutes, but the other jobs cannot communicate because the nuts are not set up, and then they fail. So we all the time saw that the health monitoring is failing. So the deployment fails because the health monitoring failed.
And is this with each Bosch update, or is it just the first upgrade when we go to the new Nets 2.0?
I don't test this. So I think at first it is an issue with the first deploy, but maybe it's a general issue. We should check that.
Just wondering if it's just the first time the creation of the token. And
no, but the token is not like persistent, right? So if you recreate,
yeah,
it should fetch a token every time.
Oh, okay.
And I would expect that this is a general issue.
Yeah.
And with other jobs, you mean all the VMs managed by Bosch?
It's
No,
the health monitor.
The jobs on the VM itself.
It's only the health monitor that actually needs nats to start. Interesting. Can you create an issue so that we can at least have the discussion somewhere on this information?
Yeah, I found it some minutes ago, so I will create an issue.
So you have had like a few minutes and you didn't spend that on creating the issue? Oh.
Next time.
Next time, thanks.
Yeah, I'm still working on that. Skip it, because this is basic. I can remove this.
It's basically draft?
It didn't. Yeah, it didn't.
It didn't work?
Didn't work.
Okay, then I will get rid of the...
I was happy, worked on it for 3 days. I said, oh yeah, finally found it. And then I was like, oh shit, I used the wrong stems. So I was using the wrong stem cell every time.
Okay. Yeah, that's...
Yeah.
Okay. Can you convert it to a draft? Apparently, I cannot do it.
Yeah, we'll convert it to a draw, or you can do it as well.
No, I cannot. The button doesn't show up for me. I think so. No, I can just edit it, right? Oh, here it is. Convert to drafts. Convert to drafts.
A red button.
That's it, drafts. Nice. Okay. Yeah, is Jamie back from vacation?
Nope.
Still in vacation.
That's addresses that one. This one, yeah, still waiting for Constantine to make a few changes. Connie had some things, so it's a lot of work. So that will take some more time, and then we have. Oh wow, this looks like a good PR. Wow, beautiful.
I declined this one just by default.
Yeah, so earlier this week, as in yesterday, this PR got merged.
Mhm.
This feature is basically around being able to reserve all the memory on vSphere. I don't know if it's relevant to you all because you don't use vSphere, but I mean, yeah, it's just a way to allow you to reserve all the memory and if you have multiple clusters, try the next cluster if it fails to power on the first cluster because of no more memory, right? So this is something we had to do for a certain customer. So that's why there's a bit of a rush to get this through. It's currently failing on CI. Apparently it doesn't work on an old version of vSphere. So that's what I'm working on. Yeah, that's it from that side. We are currently looking into what is it? We had issues, or we have had reports of people that experience slower deploys, as in like, I don't know, on bigger deploys things take a bit longer, and that, if I remember correctly, is since we upgraded to Ruby 3.0 probably, and it seems to be we also have reports that there's a lot of memory or more memory consumption with higher versions of Ruby 3.0 on Jammy. So these things we are currently investigating to figure, and we're blocking a release on that because it's too many separate issues that all have to do with performance. So we're doing a
There
looking
was a release yesterday.
Hmm?
Yesterday.
A release of what? Of the Bosch, was it the Bosch directory?
It was a release of the
Yeah,
Bosch
yeah,
directory. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was one, right? So that's the event machine removal thing.
Mhm.
So that was one. So that's what we tried, as in there was one way to get or we found one source of the memory consumption going up, and that was apparently event machine. And event machine, we are on a version that's still not released, right? So there's a 3.0 compatible event machine version, but that's only on master. So event machine is not really well maintained anymore. So that's like a big thing that we eventually should remove. And it was leaking, or I don't know if it's leaking memory, but was not efficient anymore. So in some parts of the code, we actually didn't need it anymore because we already moved to a different NATS client. Like we got event machine in because of the asynchronous nature of NATS. I think the early versions of NATS were also using event machine quite heavily, but newer versions aren't. So yeah, that was just a cleanup thing basically. So that was released in the latest director release, but we want to do more. It's still not. So the memory consumption is still higher than it was on Xenial. So one thing that we're exploring is using CLang as a compiler for Ruby, but we still need to explore that more. So we have had some seen some results where the memory consumption when we use a Ruby compiled with CLang went back to on Jammy went back to Xenial memory consumption levels, but we have to do more testing. But if we want to go that route, I would want us to add CLang, the compiler, to the stem cell, and then have in the Ruby release in Bosch packages, add a conditional check if CLang is available, add some flags, right? So that we can make it, if it's supported by the stem cell, we compile with CLang. But yeah, more testing to be done to know for sure, because I mean, maybe there's other side effects that we don't foresee. One promising thing that I saw was, or one thing that makes this a worthwhile effort, is that I saw that the default compiler that the upstream Ruby uses is CLang. So maybe it actually makes sense to move to that.
Yeah, it doesn't matter for me. I think we can put just 2 compilers on it. Why not? I don't.
Yeah, I mean, like, but if we change the compiler for Ruby in the Bosch packages repo, that could be a thing, because that would also affect all the other, like even Cloud Controller, right? So we need to be really certain that it is an improvement.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yep.
Maybe for us in SAP, this is an issue, right? For example, GCC, we have to remove from the stem cell explicitly by the Bosch hardening,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, so if
Yeah.
we would add another compiler, we would add that to that list of the, so there's like a feature in Bosch that removes all the compilers at runtime, right? So you only have them
okay.
available during like compilation.
Yeah, okay.
So we just make sure that we add it to that list.
Mm.
So that shouldn't really.
Yeah, but SAP it removes way more shit. They have like a different hardening release where they actually, so Bosch removes the binary itself, the libraries itself, and their security checks if the package is installed by APT. So they use the package, they check basically the package installer if a package is installed, yes or no. So what they're doing is they have a hardening release where they're also purging the whole package.
But I mean, like, that's a weird way of doing security. Because
It's,
the package could be not
I know.
installed and you could still have a compiler on your machine, because that's not the only way you can get a package or a compiler on there.
I know I have stopped this discussion. I've had this discussion with.
Okay, let's not go there.
Yeah, but
I have been mad. I have been sad. I have been every emotion there is, but no dice.
Okay.
but the CLang compiler is used not at runtime, so it's not a how is it called, a TOR compiler? No, not a JIT, not used as a kind of JIT compiler, right? It's used.
No.
Okay.
No, Ruby has that built in.
No.
Like Ruby, but Ruby itself needs to be compiled, right? We compile Ruby from source, and CLang,
okay.
and that's like how Bosch releases work, right? You
Okay.
bring the source and then you compile it in the compilation stage. And for that, we use the compilers available in the stem cell. And currently we have GCC, and CLang as a drop-in replacement for GCC, but using the, what's it, LLVM, or like the Apple stuff, right? The compilers that they use. Yeah. Yeah, that's the background on that work that might be coming. But yeah, that's gonna be a bigger change. It at least involves the stem cell builder, and we need to bump something in the Ruby packages and then bump it into the director and get it into Bosch deployment. So yeah, that will take some time. Let's go over the issues.
We have none. So okay.
That's perfect. That's what I like.
Well, the main issue for now is like that Also, for Gemmy is basically stuck for now because logging on AWS just doesn't work. It's really
Doesn't you mean the syslog thing?
the whole like our syslog and syslog is basically not starting on AWS.
Yeah, but I mean, like, it doesn't. It's not a problem if you use the rsyslog release, right? Because that starts it.
Nope.
That's what I heard.
Yeah, normally like on Azure, on Google, on Ali Cloud, they all work. Except for no, you need like you need to tell systemd and rsyslog, blah blah blah. This is
Oh.
different.
Hmm?
This is different. We
What's
don't
the-
use this.
Ah, I see.
We use
Yeah,
just the apt packages, and then we set some systemd unit files because we cannot use the normal unit files because the whole problem is why this fails is the far log. We are mounting the far log to the ephemeral disk, which is maybe later for AWS, or there is some
Here. This
cloud
is what I
in it.
heard. So if you
Yeah,
run
if you restart syslog, it will work. Everything will just work smoothly. That's correct. But this is ridiculous that I need to have
yeah, I understand. But
that I
mean,
have
like,
need
this is
syslog
why-
working.
So we are mostly using this, like, have this job everywhere where people care about syslog, because I mean, you need to configure it anyway, right? Your syslog.
Well, no, by default, you don't. You if you want to debug something, you want to check kernel logging or
I
your
see,
sys
yeah.
logging or whatever. Just any
Yeah.
logging at all. Now we don't in AWS. There is just no logging. That just doesn't exist. Doesn't log anything.
Yeah, but I mean, like, there's like a really simple workaround, like just add a Bosch add-on and have a pre-start
Okay,
script that
there's
runs this.
of course there's a workaround, but it's,
Yeah, no, I mean, like, it needs to be fixed. I understand, but I mean, like,
yeah. Yeah,
it's not like from the VMware side of things, we aren't that concerned because our customers are all using this job, so we aren't that affected, and we are really concerned about the memory thing. So that's what we are currently like have top of the priority list, basically. So if you have some data on, like, if you are also seeing those things, because you typically have pretty a lot of like metrics and stuff, so it would be good to, I don't know, if you could share some of these things, if you could maybe at least confirm if you are seeing higher memory consumption than on Xenio. But maybe you don't have any data from Xenio anymore. So
no. No, they
Oh, you
ju-
don't-
they're
you
mo-
actually
moving
don't
from
use
Bionic to
Xenio.
Gemini.
yeah, that's true. Oh, so it could be that Bionic already had the same memory consumption.
Yeah, and their directors are pretty heavy machines already, so I don't think they.
Yeah, you don't run a lot of parallel things. Deploys,
No.
except for what's it, Service Fabric?
Yeah, Service Fabric is the one that has a lot of has its own kind sets of problems.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah,
But-
this for
What's
Azure.
this?
Yeah, I would ask the SAP has some Microsoft people, right?
Yeah.
And VMware as well.
Hmm.
I think we should just ask them this.
Yeah, it's basically exposing one additional thing. But
Yeah,
this is done.
yeah.
But Wouldn't it make more sense to use this for the ephemeral disk?
Yeah, I would not do it for the root disk, I think.
I don't know.
But it doesn't matter if you
The
just.
root disk is basically also ephemeral, right?
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know if you can, because the root disk is basically coming from an image, right? A pre-cloned. Yeah, I don't know if that's gonna work. But apart from that, like for at least for the ephemeral disk, it makes sense. And I don't know if it will work for the root disk.
Yeah, well, I'll just say, give me a PR.
Yeah, the person says that they want to get some feedback before they create a PR.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah, I would ask maybe one of the, or is this maybe something from Microsoft? This guy, I don't know.
As
No,
far
MS,
far as I-
MS
Yeah.
Dash is from Microsoft. Thank you. Below.
exactly.
So
Okay.
yeah,
So
I would not have anything against it if they're just an additional flag. I would not mind.
It's just a cloud property, right? Additional
Yeah.
cloud property. Mhm.
because Sebastian Dusch wanted to have a look at that topic anyhow. He told me a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Azure also still needs to go to, I have done that bump like when we went to Ruby 3.0,
Mhm.
and Azure still needs to go through their new libraries.
Hmm.
So if someone wants to do that,
Yeah, I believe there were some issues with that. But yeah, it needs to happen.
yeah,
as
no,
well.
well, it's not an issue. It's just a big rewrite. There needs to be a lot of stuff needs to be rewritten.
Yeah. Wait, I'm gonna offline look at this documentation and stuff, get a bit more of an opinion, and then I will respond. Okay, I think that's it. Is there anything more people want to discuss?
No.
Okay.
No.
Thanks all for joining, and see you all next week.
Have a nice
See you.
day. See you.
Have a nice day.
Later.
Bye.
Bye bye. Take care.